Hey, get your lawn on everybody. Yeah, so this one's going to be a bit of a long video today because we're covering installing the irrigation, and there's a lot that I wanted to go through. There's a lot to it, but it's quite a simple job to do yourself. So the purpose of this video is to try and make it really easy and show you all the intricate bits. So I've always wanted to do a video like this for the page, simply because the other times that I did the irrigation, I was the one that was doing it, so it was quite hard to film it and do the job at the same time. I'm just really appreciative that Designscape are coming up to help me do this job, and it's a really nice gesture on their part. I'll link the other videos in the description that deal with what I did beforehand to get to this point with my irrigation. Yeah, I've really been hanging out for this weekend. It's going to be a good weekend. A quick update of what I've done so far. Stick around, it'll only take a minute. I made a mud map of my measurements and also recorded the water flow from my water source, which I sent into Reece Irrigation and they gave me this design. Now for my pop-ups, I went the Weathermatic 100mm pop-up. I've used them before and they were very good for me, and they're a very good design, very reliable, and I fully recommend them. Remove the flush caps and replace with your sprinkler head of choice, and for my sprinkler heads I've gone for the Hunter MP rotators, which are excellent. Click the top right of screen if you want to see a video about more details of these parts. Now the Hunter MP rotator will need a little tool to adjust it, but it's only $1.50, and once it's set it's pretty much forget. A special mention must go to these razor kits, which even the boys from Designscape really enjoyed because it made the installation much more easy and flexible. For the controller, I've gone the Weathermatic ProLine PL1600 4 zones, upgradable to 16. Loads of features which I'll talk more about in a future video. So I dug out the garden because that's going to be replaced by lawn. The owner has kindly removed the tree, and I trenched it all for the boys, making a 200mm deep trench all the way around. Did pretty well, but just one little accident of hitting the storm pipe just in front of the house, which wasn't quite what I wanted, but these things happen, and the boys from Designscape were going to fix that. All in all, that pre-work was really appreciated by the Designscape boys the next day.
Once we put these together, basically all that happens is these clips go over.
Yep.
And then what that does is it allows you to continue to add on. Wow. This one's obviously an end cap.
Yep.
So that stops, water feed in.
Yep.
And our solenoid will connect on like this.
Yeah.
So the good part about that is once we've got all our connections, if we need to service it,
yep,
it's a case of unplug, and then we can remove that whole system away.
Yeah.
To work on it, instead of having to screw inside the box.
Yeah, it's cool.
Alright, so we've got one that's already done. So with these fittings, you can see, you can't really see, but there's a little a rubber flange that goes around here, which provides a seal.
Alright.
So when we put the solenoid on, we don't need to worry about any thread tape, because that seal pushes in and touches.
Yep.
And creates that tight.
Good stuff.
On this side here, however, when we have these guys don't have any rubber seals that come with them.
Right.
So what we like to do is thread tape them up. The old rule of thread tape is always thread it in the same direction, that when it turns it, when you do it up, it's not going to undo itself. So you can see that the direction of that tape, when it comes time to doing it on, will tighten itself.
Yep.
One other thing I like to do is use a product called Lock Seal in these areas, because these inside a valve box, we don't want any water leaking, or we want to minimise it as much as possible.
Yep.
Because obviously there's constant pressure down there 24 hours a day.
Yep.
So we don't want any mistakes. So this lock seal is just a basic adhesive. It allows you to undo it later, but it'll just provide a definite seal. Doesn't need to be super tight, but enough to
Make it matter.
And there we have a half our manifold prepared.
Cool. Yep. Look at that, eh?
So everything's still somewhat serviceable.
Yep.
Okay, so that'll sit in there like so.
Yep.
I'm a bit of a stickler for just setting everything out and just visualising where everything's going to go. Sprinkler. That's a little bit closer than what I might have put it, so I might bring that over a tad, just so we get that arc coverage. We want to make sure that we're going to be crossing over each other.
Yep.
So this one really needs to probably come out to about here.
Yep.
So we get that interlapping happening. I think I'm pretty happy with that height.
Oh, look at that.
I think we can have that in there. And
So those riser things are really handy, aren't they?
they are. If you have a look over at this one here, it gives you a good indication. When we don't use these risers, we normally have to put a corner riser in.
Yep.
And what that means is we need to dig under existing haunch.
Yeah.
And when it's old like this, it's quite difficult because it's too wide.
Yep.
So sometimes we normally have to have our pipes running here.
Yeah.
But you can see with this, I'm able to get right up into the corner and angle it out so I can do all my joins out in a vacant spot.
Yeah.
Instead of being so tight underneath haunch areas.
Yeah.
So these arms allow that, so we can adjust height and an area.
Yeah, rock and roll those things, eh?
So good.
So we'll turn that off. Works fastest, chap.
Magic FM.
Hey!
Hey, gee, you can dig a nice little trench.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Yeah, it's coming together. Got the boys up from Adelaide, Designscape up from Adelaide. They're smashing it out for me.
Yeah, but once you fill those trenches, it won't take long for the stuff to grow. I can tell you, you won't even know that in about 4 months' time. You won't even know you've done this.
Nah, that's right. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
You've done very well.
Yeah. Get it back to its old glory.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
It used to be one of the best gardens in Port Augusta, they tell me.
That's right, it was too. Yeah, but it will be after you finish. Oh, they're going good there. Look.
Yeah, they're all over it.
All over it. Yeah. Beauty.
Quite often what happens when we're setting up the irrigation, we might get dirt in the pipe, dirt into the fittings, and we'll show you soon how to flush a system before we activate the system. Sometimes when we're connecting up our pipework into all of our solenoids, we might have those little stones or grains inside that pipework. So when we first turn the water on, this can collect inside the actual solenoid area here, and there's a diaphragm inside. Sometimes the smallest of stones can be troublesome. So we'll show you how to open up and check for that. If we have an issue where we're not finding our systems working and our pop-ups aren't getting the pressure, this is one area that we tend to have a look at to troubleshoot. Pop him off, and quite often the water, the stones may just collect in the bottom of here. So we just need to inspect in there and make sure that we don't have anything. You can tip him over and get rid of anything, and that's all we need to worry about. This is the diaphragm here that opens and shuts with the solenoid. If there's anything that fouls between this in here, sometimes that can either cause a leak or stop the pressure from coming through because that diaphragm won't open.
Yeah, so what would you quote a job like this if you're doing it from scratch?
You know, there's a lot of elements to landscaping where you can do a square metre rate and base it, but sometimes, depending on the dirt, depending on the terrain, depending on the access.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We need to calculate, you know, how hard it is to get in, how long the digging is. You always have to have a contingency plan for hard digging, and if you don't have a trenching machine or space to be able to get something in or an excavator in, so it's really dependent on each job. So we customise our quotes. We never do a blanket quote, because I think that's unfair to the client, because some clients may have a really easy job and it's not fair to overcharge, and then other clients might be really difficult who need to spend a little bit more money. So it's really a custom. That's what the quoting process takes so much time, because every job's different, presents different things.
Yeah, push on that one.
It's similar.
Cheap, so we tend to try and conserve as much as possible. Here's a good example.
We'll be
we were talking about before. See the little bit of dirt in there?
Yes, yep.
Right, so if we're not careful, when we plug everything up and turn the system on, if we don't flush the end, that will make its way back to the solenoid, into that diaphragm, and then we have that blockage.
Right.
So the flushing is important, but knowing how to service your solenoid is really important.
Oh yeah,
because
look at
that sits in the line.
That could pull your pants down, couldn't it?
That's enough.
So I got 95% of the stuff dug for them.
So when you conditioning and aerating and plugging and things like that, what's your type of depth that you go?
Probably about 80 mil. Is the deepest. Usually it's around about 60. You know, 100 mil or more, and those are 100 mil anyway.
That's right.
Plenty of room.
Water very easily.
Not something.
Ceremonial toss them, no longer needed. Beautiful. Fill those holes in with dirt. I'm glad to see those go, I tell you. It's coming together, isn't it? Wow. Two. Yeah.
Am I missing something?
I'll go have a look. There might be a little nipple or something you've got to put in there.
You might be right.
Oh, is this a new type you haven't
It is,
tried
yeah.
before, yeah? It certainly looks simple, you know, if you've got to sort of start stripping them apart and fixing that stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely a servicing dream.
Because it doesn't matter what you get, it'll need servicing at some time.
Correct. This joint here is the same. So you take these two off and you can take that whole lot out. It's brilliant. Okay. How do you want to film this one, Matt?
I don't know. Where's it going to spurt out?
It's going to spurt out over there.
Okay, no worries. There you go.
Ready?
Yep. Right, there it goes. There's that one. There's that one. That one. There's that one.
Yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough. Alright, bring it over here.
Lost his job, so
There's another one over here somewhere.
it's been tight, and we really appreciate the help.
There it is. There's the hole.
360 gives brand new
You got it. Down the hole.
by businesses to charities
Down the hole.
to help people in need.
There you go. Tap it in.
Every $1 donated delivers 2 brand new items.
Good job, man. Good work. Smile for the camera. Good job.
Yeah,
there.
and then just like to here, and we're
Yep.
going to run it along this little node here. I reckon that's probably the best plan.
Done.
Keep dancing with the devil, but it is a lot of Keep dancing with the devil, but it is a lot of Keep dancing with the devil, but it is a lot of my body never known. You know my body never known.
We can just bury it like that.
I think so.
Black into the common port.
Yep. Remember green, red, they're very opposite colours. So. Yeah, you have to push it up. Red is zone 1, green is zone 2. And that is it.
Alright. Pretty simple. 2 solenoids. We have to connect 1 cable from each as a common cable.
Yep.
They're reverse polarity, so it doesn't matter which one it is.
Yep.
So we select 2 of those to connect to a single wire in here that we'll choose as a common.
Yep.
And then 1 cable to another cable that'll correlate to the controller.
Yep.
Which we decide and we tag for 2 different zones.
Yep.
So pretty simple. The way we connect them is with a gel cap.
Yep.
These gel caps are a pretty simple DIY. They're called gel caps because inside is a Vaseline type gel.
Yep.
And once we put the wires in there and crimp it together, that acts as an insulation barrier to water and dirt and other things.
Yep.
So we'll just strip the wires now and then
Perfect.
plug it up. Simple as, plug it in.
Perfect.
There we go.
Done.
We're connected.
Beautiful.
Grumps, I saw some zip ties in the shed. Could you grab them for me?
Yeah, all right.
I'm a firm believer for leaving everything really tidy.
Yep.
So when it comes time for maintenance and troubleshooting,
Yep.
everything's in a neat spot. You can see that everything's nicely
and
tied
neat.
together. It's a bit like paying it forward a bit for the next person that comes along who needs to do any changes.
Look at that, eh?
Pretty neat, huh?
Check it out. Turn the power on. We're away. Same one's out the front. And it is pretty windy here today, and it's just not really affecting them. Well, that is magic, eh? Yeah, it is fascinating to watch.